everybody. I'm Sasha. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative. I also work in Kshama Sawant's office, and I'm a renter here in Seattle facing the housing crisis, as everyone else is.
Hey, I'm Ellen. I'm also a renter and a member of Socialist Alternative, and I also work in Kshama's office, and I use they, them pronouns, and I'm pretty fired up about housing.
My name's, can I get a microphone? Do you guys get the guitar through the speakers? Can everybody hear me? Okay. My name's Tay Phoenix, and I am a proud Democratic Socialist. I'm also a proud member of the Poor People's Campaign, so I'm going to play a song that we do in the Poor People's Campaign, and it's a classic, so if you know it, please sing along. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Rent prices, ain't gonna let rent prices turn me around, turn me around. Turn me around, ain't gonna let rent prices turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Landlord, ain't gonna let my landlord turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no landlord turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Poverty, ain't gonna let poverty turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let poverty turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. Nobody ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land. So if you know the Poor People's Campaign, you know this. Forward together, not one step back. Forward together, not one step back. Forward together, not one step back. Thank you. This is a song that I wrote during the struggle with Amazon over the head tax. At least the first part of that. It's not going away. I got news for you, Jeff. It's not going away. It's called Who Are They? They say life isn't fair, get used to it, it's just the way things are. And they say if you work hard like us, you can get ahead and drive a big fancy car. But who are they? Who are they? And why do they say they build cities on a hill so high no one can get in, and they still believe that going backwards will somehow make them great again. They've forgotten that the land was made to share, so they sweep us somewhere over there, then wonder why we're still here, asking who are they? Who are they? And why do they say, why, oh why do they say, are they the sons and daughters of the salmon and children of the rain. Are they descendants of the refugees whose ancestors were brought here in chains? Are they hustling, busting tables? Are they in the streets? Do their children get enough to eat? Do they have to fight to make ends meet? Oh, are they working in a factory or a store? Are their choices either virgin, mother, crone, or whore? Do their children serve when they start a war? Who are they? Who are they? And why do they say, why do they say, if they were listening now, I'd draw them near and help them lose the fear. They're just like us, and they'd make billions upon billions of new friends if they could just let go and trust that they are our brothers in the spinning starry dark, and we need their hearts to light a spark that burns into a flame of justice till there's no they, no more they, nothing in the way, no one to obey, and we all have a say.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much, Tay. Tay has continually made all of our events so much more musically satisfying. So I just want another round of applause for Tay. So up next, we have Kshama Sawant. Many of you may know. She's a city councilor here in Seattle in District 3, and also a member of Socialist Alternative and AFT Local 1789. As an independent socialist politician, she doesn't take any corporate cash. She doesn't take any cash from developers. And I think that's incredibly important, and we see that here tonight especially. Yeah. That is why we are able to fight for affordable housing in a way that concretely can put demands on the table. And I think that that's something that we really want to see moving forward. She also doesn't take her full salary. She takes the average wage of the workers in Seattle after taxes and donates the rest to social causes. And it's things like that that are able to make politicians be able to understand on a day-to-day basis what the struggles are of living in Seattle, what the struggles are of rent, groceries, transportation. These are the kind of things that having, a six-figure salary really distance yourself from. And so she's been a massive fighter for affordable housing over the course of the past many years, and I think she's going to have a lot to say about it more right now.
Thanks, Ellen and Sasha, and thanks for everybody being here. It's a movement-building approach that wins victories for us, and our movement is saying exactly what Tay just said. Jeff Bezos, it's not over. My friends, last night, ordinary people around the nation showed that they are dead serious about fighting Trump, the right wing, and the billionaire class. And I don't believe myself that elections are the be-all and end-all of struggle. But it is important for our movements not to distance ourselves from the electoral arena, because they can be vehicles for continuing to build social movements. And what the voters have shown last night, the majority of voters have shown that they've had it with Trump's right-wing and billionaire-backed agenda. A record number of women ran, a record number of teachers ran for office, a record number of women and people of color voted. But we're here to build a movement for affordable housing, right? Last night, something really wonderful happened. Three cities in California, San Francisco, Mountain View, the headquarters of Google, and East Palo Alto, all passed ballot measures to tax big business to fund affordable housing. Affordable housing, homeless services, and infrastructure. And this is legit. These were ballot measures to do exactly what we've been fighting for in Seattle through the Amazon tax, that is taxing the largest and the most profitable corporations, the billionaires who have taken the lion's share of the boom in Seattle that we haven't seen any of, to tax them to build affordable housing, to make these cities welcoming, truly welcoming for everybody. Another thing happened last night. Portland, Oregon voters, the metropolitan area of Portland, it was passed a regional ballot measure for a whopping $653 million bond to build affordable housing. Now, no doubt that the working people there were inspired by our courageous movement to tax Amazon. I have no doubt in my mind that was one of the factors. But what is remarkable about what happened last night is that those people kept fighting despite the cowardice and the shamefulness of the city council here in repealing the Amazon tax. The people in San Francisco and Mountain View and East Palo Alto didn't say, well, the majority of the city council in Seattle has repealed it, so we should stop fighting. No, they said we should keep fighting. And that is what we should draw inspiration from, my friends, that it's not over until it's over. And despite the repeal, and because of our movement here, because of the courage of Amazon warehouse workers themselves in exposing the horrendous exploitative conditions in the Amazon warehouses, after the repeal, Amazon was forced to declare a $15 minimum wage for all their employees. I just want to say how wrong those 7 council members were in saying, well, all is lost, the best thing is for us is to cut our losses and let's repeal it. No, absolutely not. And that is why we are here to fight, because we know we cannot rely on these politicians to build affordable housing for us. And I just wanted to say one last thing before our next speaker comes up. Why are we here specifically now? Right now, the City Council will approve the budget for everything that will be funded next year and the year after that. After having made eloquent speeches about how bad the affordable housing crisis is, after Mayor Durkin, in her inaugural speech, she said, this is a moral challenge of our time, solving the crisis. After all of that, how much money do you think that they have allocated for affordable housing in the proposed budget? Less than 1%. Less than 1% of the $6 billion budget is allocated for affordable housing. And the mayor had the temerity to say to us, to ordinary people who are struggling, she had the nerve to tell us, we have to live within our means. I'm not making this up, this is an actual quote. So, dear friends, let us make sure that we build this movement as strong as possible heading into the final budget vote. And let's make sure we fight to win as much as possible. But let's not stop the movement there. Let's carry on through the next year to make sure that we are able to make this city an affordable and welcoming city for everybody.
Thank you, Sean. I know I'm excited to build off of the victories of Prop C in California and all those other taxes on big business to build affordable housing. So next up, we've got Queen Bee King Rios. She's housing and homeless activist in Wheel and Women in Black, so come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Councilmember Sawant, thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. My name is Queen B. King Rios. I'm a member of Will and Share, and I'm a leader of Women in Black. Women in Black stood silent vigil for 2 more homeless deaths earlier today, bringing this year's outdoor by violent death toll to 101. At noon next Wednesday, we will stand for 7 more homeless people's deaths, bringing this year's number to an all-time shattering record of 108. All are welcome to come and join us next Wednesday at noon on 5th and Cherry, across the street from City Hall, in front of the Seattle Justice Center. We need and will always need shelters like Will's Loberia Women's Shelter and shelter networks like Share's. Share Will shelters are lifesavers. They help save my life. They also provide a warm, safe, cozy, and comfortable place, and my favorite place, a church. We also desperately need more housing to be funded and built by the city of Seattle. The housing we need has to be for lower levels of income, people and families. We need more housing like yesterday. The faster we build housing, we will be able to make a difference in our homelessness crisis. But the rents have to be where people can afford them. Homelessness will never end until we get more housing. And I always tell everyone, I've made a choice to be a voice when it comes to homelessness and housing, and everyone here should too. You can follow Women in Black on our Homeless Remembrance Project's Facebook page and join us. Without shelter and housing, people die. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Queen Bee. Our next speaker is Mergitu Argo, who is a leader in the Ethiopian community and in the fight for immigrant rights. Is Mergitu here? Oh, there you are. No, come on. Please give Mergitu a warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mergitu. I'm here on behalf of Saba Ethiopian Cuisine. It's right across, close by. If we all can walk, we can walk by, but tonight is closed. Every Wednesday she's closed. She is getting displaced. The reason I'm saying she is, the owner is a woman. She owned this business for almost 20 years, and now she's getting displacement. And this restaurant is not only a restaurant, it's a place where my people hang out. And also, since it's close by Seattle University, the Seattle University students and faculty members comes and hang out and use that space for a meeting and enjoy the Ethiopian food also. And this displacement is affecting the refugee and immigrant community really badly lately. So please, there is a petition going on. We have collected 1,200 petition through Kshama Sawant's office, workers, Jonathan and other people. The petition is still going on in the back. Can you please waive it and please help? There's 3 of them there. Thank you so much for doing that. And then let's please help each other and join me saving the Ethiopian cuisine Saba restaurant. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Mergitu, for reminding us that some of the smallest businesses in our city, especially immigrant women and LGBTQ owned, are also on the chopping block, just like working families are because of skyrocketing rents. We're all being squeezed from every end. Landlords are jacking up rents while bosses are trying to limit our pay and in some cases even trying to take away our jobs. Right now, workers at the University of Washington are involved in a huge fight for good pay and job security on the University of Washington campuses, at Harborview Medical Center, and at the UW Laundry. They are on the front lines. John Frazier works at Harborview and is president of the Washington Federation of State Employees, Local 3488. Paula Lukaszek is a plumber at the University of Washington and is a president of another local of the same union, 1488. Agnes Tabasan is a rank and file worker at the UW Laundry. But I would urge everybody who's here from WUFC, can you please come up here and join your speakers, and please give them a warm welcome.
How's everybody doing? My name is John Frazier, and I represent workers at the University of Washington. What we are facing today is, all over our state and our city, is a homeless crisis. The University of Washington has decided that they would add to that problem. They have decided that they would get rid of 120 so art workers to add to the homeless problem in our city. The university is a corporation. They try to say that they're a university. But in fact, if you look up the buildings, you look at their budget, you look at how they pay their executives, you know that they are a corporation. And every single day, people like these people behind us show up for minimum wage and do work for people who are making $200,000, $300,000, and the university administration look down on them. We have counted that the university pays over 400 of its people $200,000 or $250,000 or more, their executive team. But yet told these people that they need to close the laundry and find new jobs. And what we said is this: people have worked at the laundry for 30, 40, and 50 years, and the university is throwing those people out. And we say that's bullshit. And what we're saying, and make no mistake about what we're doing. You know what, at the end of the day, they may win, no doubt. No doubt they may win. But you can guarantee you, they will not win without a damn fight. We are going to be on the front line till hell freezes over. We will not let those people lose their job without a freaking fight, because the university is wrong for what they're doing in the city, and what business is doing to people in the city is wrong. And people you name me one person that left high school and decided that I would live in a tent city. That was my dream. Name anybody that said that I would live in my car. That is my dream. That's bullshit. And we need to send to this city and around this country that is bullshit, that corporations can do what they're doing to average people. You know what? You know what? We all will not have the opportunity to go to Harvard or go to Yale and go to all these big institutions. When my parents When my parents grew up, they worked at a regular job. They were able to feed our family, and we were able to live a decent life. So we say to every corporation that is trying to take the dignity of workers, that's bullshit. And we will fight you at every corner, every day.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Agnes. I work for the UW Laundry for over 22 years. My husband and I both work there, and we're given notified that we're gonna be losing our job by the end of March. Yes, and then I represent about 120 employees that live around this area that will be displaced and be part of the homelessness as well. So please help us, and they're giving our job to some place outside the city, not providing good quality benefits to the employees that they're giving our job to. So please help us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mustafa. I work for the laundry about 21 years, and we work really hard, and believe it or not, we all work all the holiday. No, it's mandatory to work on the holiday. Even we're working on the holiday, and they let us to do these things. And second thing, it's not only working on the holiday, we all the people, we really work hard, and we feeling like we're helping the hospital. That's we do. That's the only thing we can contribute on it. But now, finally, they decided they want to close the laundry because to grab the land. The land is expensive. They won't use it for the other purpose. Then you guys, everybody, please help us to sign the petition and UW what they're doing really wrong and just to be. Thank you for.
We are planning several events on campus. We're asking that you sign this, give your information so we can call you when we're trying to do this stuff to the university, because we need your support. Thank you, everybody.
Hey. Hey. My name is Paula. I'm a plumber at the University of Washington. Along with Local 3488, we work for the U of W, Harborview, and U of W Medical Center. I'm here for a couple of reasons. One, to support the laundry workers, but also to let you know that, we've been involved in the affordable housing situation. Most of our members can't afford to live in Seattle anymore, And right now, the university is trying to get a variance from the city council so they can build a lot of high-rise apartments and office buildings. And we tried to get them to put in some low-cost housing. They've pledged to do about 150 units, but they're not even saying it's going to be at the university. And there's students, there's staff, and there's adjunct professors who need this housing. So we're trying to get them to at least do 450. The other thing I want to talk about is we're involved in, we rejected our contract negotiations, 3488 and 1488. The university was offering us 2% and 2%. Well, if you're making $15 an hour, what's 2% to you? Nothing, And so we rejected it, and right now we're asking our members if they're going to go on a strike vote. Is anyone willing to walk the picket line if we go out on strike? Let's see. Whoa! All right. Strike, 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 strike. All right. Because we're going to need your help, because we're going to close down Harborview Hospital, U of W Embassy, and the main campus. And we're going to need, there's a lot of people there, and we're going to be out, and we need your help. So when we put out the call, please come there and walk the picket line with us. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Salvador Castillo. I work in the University of Washington. I come right here to talk about affordable housing. In the university, in the years I've been there, used to be everybody used to afford the rent. Right now, nobody can afford the rent close to the university. It's so expensive. People live in the streets, not because are homeless. It's because some they work, but then they got money enough to pay the rent. So it's all over the place. Right now, maybe it's about 500 families in the university who struggle to find a place to live, can afford the rent, especially those who got the big families, five, 6 kids. It's not $1,000, not $2,000. It's about $3,000 plus food, insurance, and all some of the other stuff. You know, can't afford it. Need to work 2-3 jobs for them to be able to maintain their family. So make it real hard for everybody. All right, thank you.
Yeah, give a round of applause. Are we gonna let UW win this? Hell no! You guys, everyone here who stands with the laundry workers, let's just one more round. Yeah, we're gonna stand with them at the picket line. We are gonna stand with them. Thank you guys so much. That was so massively, deeply inspiring. And I just want to, we're about to hear from Carol Harris with some more chants, but first I just want to do one quick chant. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. That's right. And we're going to build this energy. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. So next we have Carol Harris. She's a hospital worker at the UW Medical Center and the first vice president of SEIU 925 and a leader in God's First Christian Ministry International in Skyway. And she's going to lead us in some chants. So let's bring the energy out. Let's hear it.
I don't know about you, but I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I'm sick and tired of the UW and sick and tired of the big corporations taking advantage of us. You know why? Because we are the 99% and we stand together. We refuse to separate. We fight together, and when we fight, we win. Yes, that's what we do. So I have a chant. And the reason I got this chant is because we stand with you, and we all stand together, and we stand solid as a rock. Nobody can move us because we stand solid. That's where I am with you right now. And when what I say, you say. That's what the chant is. It's just not me, because I'm not standing by myself. It's us. When I say it, you say it. And we're going to do this chant together. Y'all ready? Because I guarantee you I'm ready. Solid as a rock. Solid as a rock. Rooted as a tree. Rooted as a tree. We are here. We are here. Standing tall. Standing tall. For affordable housing. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Hey. We're going to do this. I say, we are here standing tall. Stand tall. What the world you doing sitting down when you're standing tall? Stand up. Hey, we mean what we say. We say what we mean. Y'all threw me off that time. But we're going to do this. Solid as a rock. Solid as a rock. Rooted as a tree. Rooted as a tree. We are here. Standing tall. Standing tall. For affordable housing. For working people. justice. For housing justice. For affordable housing. For affordable housing. One more time. Solid as a rock. Put a rock to it. Solid as a rock. It's okay. Rooted as a tree. Rooted as a tree. We are here. We are here. Standing tall. Standing tall. For affordable housing. For affordable housing. For working people. For working people. For housing justice. For housing justice. For affordable housing. For affordable housing. Now. That's what I stand for. That's why I showed up. Because we stand with you. And we say what we mean and we mean what we say. They want to fight, they got it.
Seattle have 10,000 empty apartments. 10,000 empty apartments. They do nothing about it. Seattle have 10,000 empty apartments. 25%. Someone don't do nothing about it. Seattle have 10,000 empty apartments.
Thank you for our powerful sister, Carol. Dear friends, Gaholi Smith and Teresa Gutierrez are residents of True Hope Village, a community of tiny homes just up the street on Yesler, who are struggling to find permanent affordable housing. Can everybody who's in this group come up here and stand with Gaholi and Teresa, please? Come on, group. Come on.
Anyway, John, where's the rest of our crew go? They're hiding. Oh, they're hiding. Anyway, my name is Kahali Smith, and I represent the tiny village down the street on 17th Yesler. I'm very, very appreciative to have it. I don't know if you all know what Myers Way Woods are. That's all we're going for. That's all right. That's all right, Wiley. It's okay.
Anyway, what a pleasure it is. I went for that place where I was a year ago. I thought I had myself taken from me.
Yeah.
Get the mic up close to the face, please.
Yes, ma'am. Can't hear you, ma'am.
Anyway, every morning I wake up, I have a locked door that I can walk out of. Everybody I look at, there's always a smiling face at me. Everybody's so sweet to me. I don't have to worry about nothing. You don't even have to worry about food there. You don't. But anyway, I don't mean to cheer up on everybody, but damn. How I got there was I was put out from a single room occupancy place when I had my son because I wouldn't give him up for adoption or do the unthinkables. So I kept him, and that's where it took me, is basically to the streets. And then I was like, where am I going from there? And and then we ended up in the woods. And then there was a lady that came out from it was the Reach program, and it came out there. She's like, it took me a minute to find you, but I found you. She goes, I got a place for you, and she took me there. Lo and behold, they opened the door to this place. It looked like something out of the Wizard of Oz. When they start singing the Lollipop Gang. Anyway, there's this guy named John. He was really cool to me. And him and Sasha, they're two of the most perfect people there. We need more affordable housing is what we need, people. I'm not even playing. Look, I don't even know, I don't know nothing about politics and all that, but honestly, a lot more of these villages ran the correct way would be helpful. For real, I'm so serious. Anyway, thank you, and then that's my story.
Thank you so much for coming to speak. These tiny house villages are an important part of addressing the immediate crisis that we're facing in homelessness. And as you know, as she said, we need way more permanently affordable housing. In one of the wealthiest cities in the country, it's unacceptable that there's thousands sleeping on the streets, while in downtown Seattle, a quarter of all housing units are empty because they're too expensive, right? Yeah. So thank you so much for coming to speak about that. Next up, we've got Ian Burns. He's a member of Socialist Alternative and organizer from West Seattle. He's lived and worked in Seattle for a decade as a cabinet maker, carpenter, and warehouse packer. So.
Hey everybody, this is one of the best rallies I think I've ever been to. I feel great. I think last night, like many of you, I was watching the news pretty closely, and I was excited to see that working people largely voted against Donald Trump's agenda. California voters approved a Google tax and a big business tax that were both inspired by our battle here with the Amazon tax, and both passed with large majorities. In New York, socialist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is poised to bring a progressive shock into the U.S. House. Voting rights have been restored to millions in Florida. And ballot initiatives for Medicare expansion and to raise the minimum wage were passed in a number of so-called red states. I think it's understandable. I think some of us may have been hoping for an even more decisive wave of Democratic and progressive politicians in yesterday's elections. But I think we should all feel extremely excited about the incredible upsurge in social movements around not just progressive and socialist campaigns, some of which, by the way, are a direct result of another resurgence, the resurgent labor movement, which we saw an amazing example of here. But working people have stepped into the fight around healthcare, around immigrants' rights, trans rights, and of course, the issue we're here to focus on, affordable housing. Working people in California, they waged two incredible struggles around housing. Not just the big business tax in San Francisco, but also they fought to repeal a statewide restriction on rent control, which seriously undermined a city's ability to cope with out-of-control rents, much like we have here in Seattle. The California renters movement may have lost that fight, but they raised the critical need for affordable housing and strong rent control. And by pushing and not giving up this fight forward, they prepare the ground for further and more decisive battles, which are guaranteed on the horizon. Here in Seattle, we were preparing for a fight ourselves. Our movement was prepared to fight like hell until election night to protect and uphold the Amazon tax. But we didn't get that chance. That fight was ripped from our hands in a shameful capitulation to big business by the Democrats, which is far, far more damaging than losing after an actual fight. So, although yesterday marked a serious step forward nationally in the fight against Trump and the right wing, I think we should be sober in our optimism. The Democratic establishment nationally actually ran many campaigns on centrist messages, even making real concessions. Oh, I'm not going to make that. My wife's doing the timing, and I can't. They actually ran on centrist messages, even making real concessions to Trump and the right wing, instead of running on clear working class politics. And I think it stands out that conservative Democrat Claire McCaskill lost in the same state that just voted to raise the minimum wage and overwhelmingly to reject so-called right-to-work legislation. And in Seattle, we know that even progressive Democrats are not the steadfast allies we need. We should ask ourselves the question, are we going to allow Democratic politicians who've had every opportunity to meaningfully address issues of housing and inequality for decades in Seattle, to talk at us and say we should rely on them to fight for rent-burdened people who are holding onto their housing by their fingernails? Should we rely on them to actually solve homelessness and end homelessness? Should we rely on them to protect Black and brown and immigrant neighborhoods from being uprooted and destroyed by evictions and bulldozers? How long are we going to let them say these things but turn around and completely betray us? Do they serve working people or big business? That is the question not only for politicians in Seattle, but to every incoming liberal and progressive politician at the city, state, and federal level. I think we have seen with Kshama's fighting record and with inspiring examples like Nikita Oliver that independent politics are not only possible, they are the best way for us to win. Because, I mean, it goes without saying that we need to defeat the Republicans and the right wing, but we cannot do so without a fighting strategy and working class politics. Because the Democrats also, at the end of the day, they aim to shore up capitalism. It's a society where landlords get to decide whether or not you get to sleep under a roof tonight or choose between rent and your grocery bill. This is a society where a pharmaceutical company gets to decide whether or not you can afford the medication that'll save your life. And under this system, ordinary people are going to have to fight tooth and nail year after year to win every dollar for housing, every baby step in police reform. And even when we win, the Amazon tax repeal showed us that big business and City Hall are always ready to rip that victory out of our hands. But that is not the only way. We can put an end to that system and say that we as working people want a society that prioritizes people over profits. We can fight for social housing rather than the just let the market decide approach that brought us a gluttony of luxury apartments no one can afford. We can fight to bring the top 500 corporations under democratic public ownership rather than live under the constant threat that Amazon or Boeing are going to gut our communities by just packing up and leaving town. That is why we have to be stronger. Our movement has to be stronger. And if we organize, if we build a movement strong enough to fight and to win and to fend off attack, we can build a new mass party for working people, independent of corporate money and the ruling class. We can build a city, we can build a country, and we can build a world where regular working people get to decide what we need and when we get it. We can end Trumpism, and we can defeat the right wing once and for all. A socialist world is definitely possible, but friends, we're going to have to fight for help for it.
Thank you so much, Ian. So up next, we have Stephen Kipp. They're a director of Generations Aging with Pride, or Gen Pride. They're based in Capitol Hill. And Gen Pride is committed to empowering LGBT adults to live with pride and dignity. And this is so deeply incredible now more than ever with Trump's continual attacks on the LGBT community. And our office has been delighted to fall alongside with Stephen and everyone at Gen Pride to win a new city funding for services for older adults in the LGBT community, because we will not be erased in any age, in any time in Seattle. Who stands with Steve?
Thank you for that rousing introduction. Very nice. So, well, thank you for being here tonight. So, as I said, I'm Stephen Knipp. I'm the Director of Generations Aging with Pride, and we work with LGBTQ seniors. And I wanted to just take a little bit about, how Seattle has fallen shamefully behind other cities in funding LGBTQ senior housing and services. I'll give you an example. San Francisco has not one, but 2 low-income housing for LGBTQ seniors and a senior center. They spend $6 million a year on this one service. And it's really embarrassing that even Houston, Texas has a senior center, and they've had it for years, and I just looked on their site today, and they're now building low-income senior housing. Houston, Texas. It's amazing to me. So I've heard too many stories from our aging LGBTQ folks who are struggling with housing affordability and feeling priced out of Seattle. Jessie, a trans person, recently told us that for them, housing is about regaining a safe space with the resources that all of the LGBTQ community can count on and access. This is something we could all be a part of and take pride in. So as you mentioned, Gen Pride is hopeful that we'll be getting some funding from the city after lots of fighting with thanks to Councilmember Sawant and a number of other council members. We are looking to get a little extra money, and we're grateful. So let's get downtown next week and fight for housing. Thank you.
When Summer Gray was threatened with eviction from her Capitol Park apartment this summer, she began talking to neighbors, encouraging them to speak up about problems in the building and forming a tenants union. Summer told a media publication recently, quote, "Individually, we could do nothing, and because we weren't talking and sharing our stories, we didn't realize how pervasive the issues were. Now it feels more positive. We're talking, and instead of each of us in our own little box struggling with our own problems, there's people saying, oh, I have that problem too. There is support." Please welcome Summer Gray, who is a tremendous example of the power we can have when we unite.
Thank you. This is my first rally from this side of the stage. It's kind of exciting. The problem of funding affordable housing is getting the public to care that poor people have decent homes. I could tell a sad story that I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and without deeply affordable housing, I wouldn't be alive. My apartment allows me to live close enough to medical services to live independently, despite the constant pain and enormous physical and mental fatigue of lupus. I'm gonna grip the podium right now because I'm a little lightheaded after standing. But leveraging personal tragedies shouldn't be how we have to fundraise. That's why government funding is so important. It doesn't rely on charity. It sees a need and finds a way to meet that need. By working together, my neighbors and I started a tenants union where we built community based on our similarities. We all had the goal of safe and decent housing. After months of work, we were able to push the behemoth that is the Seattle Housing Authority to replace our property manager, whose illegal actions ranged from race and LGBTQ-based harassment to unnecessary evictions. Individually, we were easily dismissed, but together we couldn't be ignored. The poorest Seattleites are currently pitted against each other for housing, with 4 homes needed for every one that exists. The marketplace only meets the needs of those who can afford to participate. The rent from deeply affordable housing is insufficient to cover building expenses. This type of housing can only be built using public funding or donations. Yet currently the mayor, city council, and King County are all waiting to take action. The longer we wait to fund and build more homes, the more severe the housing emergency becomes. A city that can house all its inhabitants is an achievable goal. Please join me in demanding that we begin to make it happen. When we raise our voices together to stand with and advocate for ourselves and our neighbors, real change happens.
Thank you so much, Summer. Up next, we've got Jean Tang. For thousands of university workers and students, finding an affordable place to live is becoming more difficult as the University of Washington invites corporations and other residents on limited and big developers into the U District, pushing out residents on limited incomes. One of those workers feeling the pinch is Jean, a graduate student employee at the University of Washington, and a member of UAW 4121, the Union of Academic Student Employees. So, welcome.
Thank you. Dear fellow residents, citizens, and non-citizens in Seattle, thank you so much for being here today. My name is Xing Tan, and I represent UAW Local 4121, a union of 5,500 teaching assistants, student workers, and postdoctoral researchers. We support the People's Budget movement, call for a massive expansion of quality, affordable housing. Today, as an international teaching assistant from China and also a PhD student at University of Washington, I want to share with you how I and my other international friends feel about the current housing situation in Seattle. Last year in September, after a 12-hour long-haul flight over the Pacific Ocean, I landed in SeaTac Airport. The first time I landed my feet in this beautiful emerald city, I fell deeply in love with it. A city surrounded by ocean water and green trees. A city full of friendliness and great opportunities. A city with the inclusiveness and diversity I've never seen before. How poetic. That moment, I said to myself, this is it. This is the place where I pursue my doctorate and my dreams. But 2 weeks later, there came my rent. And it's the kind of huge bill I've never seen before. For a small apartment I share with 2 people, it takes away more than half of my whole paycheck, earned with my days and nights of hard work as teaching assistant. That moment, I said to myself, this can't be right. How am I going to pursue my dreams when I can't even survive? And I'm not alone. Do you know that 70% of undergraduate instruction is done by teaching assistants? We are the people who know their names. We are the people who help them solve homework problems. We are the people who accompany and mentor them until as late as 10 p.m. But our salaries can't even afford us to live and survive. With the skyrocketing housing prices, I am shocked but not surprised to learn that even some of my most talented friends are being priced out of the city and endure hours of commute every day. What a waste. And my other friends are forced to crash with 2 roommates in one small studio. What a pain. But the big businesses like Amazon are still taking more and more land to build their offices when residents in the city, people like me, can't even afford to live. The other day, while reading about the history of the United States, I was deeply impressed by this quote in Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I started thinking, how can we have the equal opportunity to pursue happiness when we don't even have the equal opportunity to live and survive? With this speech, I sincerely plead that Seattle build a city of equality so that all residents have equal opportunities to live and pursue their dreams. Build a city of goodwill so that the tens of thousands of homeless people have access to shelters to safely live. Build a city of inclusiveness so that the international immigrants and students like me can pursue our dreams in here. At the end, I want to thank you again for hearing the voice of international students. We may have different citizenships, but we share the same passions for dreams, and we face the same problems in life. Now, let's unite as one and make our voice heard. We will fight. Housing is a right. 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 We will fight.
So next up, we have Emerson Johnson. Emerson is a Seattle renter. He's a trans rights activist and also one of the best dressers, I think, at this rally. Look at that turtleneck, it's amazing. So he's been fighting against capitalism with Socialist Alternative to build a world where all people are accepted, and also fighting against Trump's attacks on the LGBT community, now especially more important than ever here in Seattle. And he's been engaged in the housing justice movement, fighting to keep Seattle affordable for all marginalized community, because we cannot have our neighborhoods and our communities gentrified and pushed out of the city. We need to be able to grow and develop here in Seattle, and we need to be able to have affordable housing to be able to do that. So real quick before we go into Emerson, just to re-up that energy, we're gonna do a quick chant. When trans rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When trans rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When trans rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Woo! Give it up for Emerson!
Thank you, Ellen, for that really wonderful introduction. So as Ellen said, my name is Emerson. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm a member of Socialist Alternative and a renter here in Seattle, and I've actually grown up in Seattle my whole life. I am very, very excited to be here supporting the People's Budget movement and fighting for the city we need. As a trans person myself, with Trump and the right wing attacking LGBTQ people and other oppressed and working people, I see movements like the People's Budget as a really necessary vehicle for fighting back against these attacks on a local level. But also, it's also about setting a precedent nationally for what we can do to stand up to the Trump administration and the pro-corporate agenda of billionaires like Jeff Bezos. And like Kshama and Ian already mentioned earlier this evening, just last night, we saw voters in San Francisco, Mountain View, and East Palo Alto in California pass big business taxes to fund millions of dollars for affordable housing. And I think we can say that working people in those cities were undoubtedly inspired by the courageous battle we waged right here in Seattle to tax Amazon. Yeah. And in the year that has passed since the shameful Amazon tax repeal by 7 council members, the need for housing in Seattle has not lessened. It has only increased with each month that the city refuses to find a solution. And that is why I fully support Councilmember Kshama Sawant and the People's Budget Movement in championing the fight to get back the $48 million for housing that we lost after the repeal. And I say to the council members and the mayor of Seattle, if Seattle wants to stand in solidarity with me and the trans community against Trump and the right wing and the billionaire class, we need to build publicly owned affordable housing to house the trans community who face disproportionate levels of homelessness and housing insecurity. And I'm sure everyone has seen, but Trump is now trying to say that gender will only be defined as either male or female, unchangeable and determined by the genitals that a person is born with. I'm right up here to say that's bullshit. If this new trans-exclusive definition of gender is adopted and accepted, trans people will no longer receive the federal workplace protections, leaving us even more vulnerable to workplace harassment and discrimination than ever before. And this is horrific. And it's why I am also supporting the People's Budget call for the independent elected office in Seattle to investigate workplace sexual harassment and gender discrimination so that trans people, yes! Between the attacks on the LGBTQ community, the Me Too movement, and Kavanaugh, we know that trans people and all Seattle workers need an opportunity to pursue justice. And the trans community has unique needs that are often not adequately addressed or even provided in traditional medical settings. That is why it's so important that we fund places like Ingersoll and an LGBTQ senior center that not only provide these much needed medical services, but also offer us a sense of community and belonging in spaces that we often feel isolated in. We need community spaces for LGBTQ youth and elders. We need workplace protections now more than ever. And as a community that disproportionately faces homelessness and police harassment, we absolutely need money to fund affordable housing. And I'm going to be really upfront about this. I don't want any platitudes from the mayor and the rest of the city council about what they could do. I want to fight for a budget that actually will do something to better the lives of trans and working and oppressed people. And I think that we all know that the only way we can win this is if working people, regardless of gender and race, fight together against the billionaire class and politicians that serve them. But as we fight for these reforms, we need to recognize that oppression against women, people of color, the LGBTQ community cannot be ended on the basis of capitalism. And that is why I am a socialist, and I believe that we should link our struggles for reform with the question of a socialist transformation of society. So join me.
Just to echo what Emerson just said, regardless of gender or race, all of us working people need to be united, and we need to be fighting together for a world that puts people over profit. And that is why, for one quick second, I wanted to ask our Vietnamese senior members here who are here to stand up so we can recognize you. I wanted to share with you all that this is such an inspiring group of people that young people can learn something from. Their determination to fight not only for the funding for their immediate services and activities and transit needs, but they have joined Seattle's fight for affordable housing. And I have here in my hand nearly 100 testimonials that they have collected both in Vietnamese and in English, where they're talking of, this is going to go to the city council, where they're saying that they want to fight for affordable housing and reverse the repeal that happened of the Amazon tax. So let's give them another applause. Okay, I'm going to now repeat something that Ian Burns said earlier. It's fantastic that we have this really inspiring rally, and it's important for us to come together like this and lift our spirits up and make sure we tell one another that we can lead this fight and that we don't have to rely on the corporate politicians who inevitably betray us anyway. But we also have to be sober, as Ian said. We have to be sober because it is going to take a lot to actually win something. So my friends, it is not enough that you came tonight. We are going to have to do some serious next steps because on the 14th of November, the City Council Budget Committee will be voting on the budget. And what they're afraid of, what big business and Jeff Bezos and the Chamber of Commerce is afraid of, is not me, it's the movement that comes with me. And so if you want me, no, look, I want to do my job well. But if you want me to do my job well, then you got to be there. You got to show up. And the reason I'm saying this is because we next have Tay with us again to have an inspiring song. But do not leave after that because Ellen and Sasha have some important messages to you about how we all can keep getting organized through this budget cycle so we show the Seattle City Council that we mean business. So don't leave yet. I know it's getting late, but we're doing really well on time. Let's keep getting organized.
Can we just get another round of applause for all of our incredible speakers? It's always amazing to hear people get up and speak from their lived experience because those stories, that truth, nothing can debate that. There's no way to debate someone's truth. And I want to speak from my own lived experience, which is a little different from what I've heard up here today. So I grew up on the north end of Seattle. My family is wealthy. And like so many people who grew up wealthy, I am still wealthy because that's how this works. And I want to take a minute to speak to my fellow wealthy Seattleites because what is happening here is completely unconscionable. You cannot be anti-white supremacy and hate on poor people. You cannot be anti-misogynistic and anti-patriarchal and hate on poor people. You can't do it. You can't be anti-fascist and hate on poor people. That's not how this works. You want to be a good liberal city? Be an actual good, decent, humane city. I wrote this song during the national convening of the Poor People's Campaign in Baltimore, and it is from my lived experience. I used to think I was better than you, I'm ashamed to say. I'd walk my shiny shoes
past your face every day. I sleep in a bed and I drink clean water, 'cause I am a rich man's daughter. After school you got a job on Aurora Way. Seems dignified enough to me. Girl, you had bills to pay. 'Cause by the time I had my degree, you had a toddler. 'Cause I am a rich man's daughter. Oh, it should have been plain to me that everyone works in this life, but some people have to work for free. And I was not meant to see you led to the slaughter, 'cause I am a rich man's daughter. But even when my back was turned, we were both still crying. And I didn't understand the truth, but I knew that they were lying when they said, "Don't worry, honey, all boats rise with the water." Those are the lies they tell a rich man's daughter. Now I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to you. There's nothing I can say, but there's plenty I can do to stand with you, my sister from another father, with all the power they just hand to a rich man's daughter, with all the power they give to a rich man's daughter.
Thank you. I just have one more thing I want to say, which is that if you are not yet involved with the Poor People's Campaign and you would like to be, please come say hi afterwards. I'd love to talk to you about it. This is a movement that is led for and by poor people. I just get to be privileged enough to be a part of it. So thank you so much for having me up here. It's been a real honor.
Thank you again, Tay. So I think that this rally was absolutely fantastic. I think we're here. We got really inspired by the massive amount of speakers who came up so far. And for me, it's just so exciting to see so many people interested in organizing to fight for affordable housing. So who here thinks that the rent after today is too damn high? Yeah? The rent's too damn high? Who here wants to see affordable housing built in this city so that our communities can live and thrive in Seattle? Yeah. And who here is gonna fight like hell to make sure that affordable housing is funded during the budget? Yeah? And I think that it's incredibly important to remember that after this budget fight, after this struggle, we need to remember every single goddamn time we write a rent check, every single time that we look at our bank account drop however much from our paycheck every month, that this housing fight is not over. This housing fight is not over until our rent goes down and our houseless brothers and sisters get homes. And we have seen that this movement has been so wide. This touches so many different people, from tenants, workers, communities of color, the LGBT community, seniors, socialists. This housing crisis affects everyone. And we are all clear in this room what is needed. We need millions of funding for high quality, affordable housing. And this is needed to continue, and we need to continue to build this movement. and build pressure on the city council. We can't simply accept establishment politicians saying that they are for affordable housing. We need to see them fight to build affordable homes alongside us. So what that means in a lot of ways, outside of, we have to build a movement, but one of the first things that we can do that's going to be incredibly important is that we have to pack, and I mean pack, like a can of sardines, the city council chambers for the final vote on the budget. That's going to be happening November 14th at 8:30 a.m. And this is our last chance within this budget process to win funding for affordable housing. And I know everyone's thinking 8 a.m. Ellen, what are you asking me to do? 8 a.m. That's true. We are going to have coffee and donuts. So if you show up, you got coffee and donuts. Also, millions for affordable housing. Yeah. So and we have seen over the course of struggles the massive amount of difference that packing a room and really putting pressure can really bring. I think the tax Amazon example is fantastic. We were able to win that. It got repealed, but we won it. And that happened through packing chambers, and we're going to do that again. I'm going to pass it off to Sasha, who's going to keep talking about stuff.
Yeah, so no one is going to build this movement for us. As Kshama said, what they're scared of is our movement, is hundreds and hundreds of people being there, building that pressure. So I'm going to ask, who can make it on November 14th at 8:30 a.m. at City Hall? Yeah, look at all those hands. All right. But we want it super packed. So if everyone here brought 2 people that they know to City Hall with them on that day, the City Hall chambers would be overflowing, So that means talking with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and I think, it's not hard, everyone is affected by this housing crisis. If you've ever had a conversation with your friends about how they're struggling to pay their rent, they need to be here. If you're talking, if you talked with a coworker about the Amazon tax, they should be here. So I think, you got to think through, when can you talk to them in this upcoming week? It's just next Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. So who can bring 2 people that they know to next Wednesday at 8:30 a.m.? Yeah, awesome. They'll bring 3, awesome. All right.
Cool. So obviously, I think a problem that we've found and is a continual struggle within the council office is that the times of these meetings that they're planned are not good for working class people. 8:30 a.m. is not a good time to have a public meeting about affordable housing, and that's not a coincidence. We know that that's not a coincidence. So there's a lot of people who really want to attend this, who really want to be there, but you can't because you got work because it's Wednesday at 8:30. And so that doesn't get you off the hook, though. We got some things that you can do. So one of the things that is always really fantastic is we have provided in the back at one of these tables, we have packets that are sort of like take-home packets to help build this movement outside of this meeting. Because we came here, we got inspired, and now we have to leave and keep building. And so in these packets, we have a bunch of, you can see them in the back, they're waving them around. We have 10 posters, we have 10 leaflets, and we have sort of like a sheet with a bunch of information with all the council members' information. And this is for you guys to go into your communities because not everyone in our communities knows that this is happening, and we want to make them bring as wide of a layer of our communities into the struggle. And so on that, we have the emails and the phone numbers for all of the city council members. So let's really flood their phone lines. And it shows the council just how many people care about this. And by itself, it won't win just affordable housing. But as part of an overall movement, it's a really important part of increasing the pressure. And I just want to say, as people who work in the council office, it works. It really works. It jams. It really, having those phone rings 24/7, it works. And leave messages. That's what we really want. And I think especially with the posters, like, there are a lot of people who are not going to see this event on Facebook, but like, we know tons of people who get involved in these movements because they see posters on the street. And like, this is a way to get people involved who you're not friends with, but who legitimately want to join this struggle. So I encourage every single person in here at the end, go back there, grab one of these packets, grab extras. If you want extra flyers because you feel really like you want to go out there, you want to give them to your community, ask us, we'll give them to you. So I'm going to quick hand this back to Sasha.
All right, so earlier this year, Mayor Durkin said that the crisis of affordability and the growing economic disparity and homelessness is the central challenge we face. It's the moral challenge of our time, and that we have to build more low-income and middle-class housing as quickly as we can. Lots of other council members that voted against the Amazon tax, that voted to repeal it, said similar things earlier this year, and I think we need to hold them to their words. That's true. It is a crisis. They need to put their money where their mouth is. So let's make sure that the city council sees the struggles we face that we heard about today of people, the real struggles we face on a daily basis, see the widespread of our movement of all these different communities, and sees our resolve to end this crisis by putting millions of dollars towards affordable housing. So at the back of the table, we've got those packets of materials to help build this movement. Make sure you grab one. And we've got Kshama's going to come and say some last words.
So how many here are going to take one of those packets? How many here are going to actually do something with the packet and not just have it sit in your home and then go into a recycling bin? I want to join Ellen and Sasha in emphasizing that all of this is necessary. It's necessary for you all to come and pack City Hall. We need more people than are here today at this rally in City Hall. We want it, as they said, to be overflowing. We want the lobby to be packed with people who are demanding affordable housing. We need the council members and the mayor to feel the heat of the movement. So are we going to do this? Fantastic. I don't have much more to add. I hope I see everybody here Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Yes, it is a very difficult time for working people to come, but as Ellen said, you're not off the hook. We have to fight given the conditions we have. That means that those of us who can show up without losing our jobs, without getting in trouble, you should come. And if you can't come because your boss is mean, then have your friends come instead of you. But make sure we have 3 people at least for every person who's here today. So see you and solidarity.